All right, we're going to continue our lesson from the other day, Investigating Triangles Congruence, Part 2. So we're going to decide whether triangle ABC is congruent to triangle ADC and state the reasons. Okay, so first of all, from the marking, you have to go by the markings on the picture. So I've got side AD and AB have the same marks. So I can say AD is congruent to AB, and the reason it's given, right? The marks may mean that it's given. And then I can also say that DC and CB are congruent, and that's given also. And then the third side is that's used on both sides. So AC is congruent to AC. It's on both same side for both triangles, right? So they're using the same side for both triangles, and so now I've got a side, 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 and so the triangles A, B, C is congruent to triangle ADC by side, side, side congruence. Okay, let's look at question number 2. Okay, so we know this angle is congruent to this angle. Now I can't just call it angle D because that doesn't tell me which one it is. You have to use 3 letters. GDF. So angle GDF is congruent to angle EDF. Okay, and that's because it's got the marks, it's a given. Okay, now let's look at another thing. I could say, now I can just call this angle G. Angle G is congruent to angle E. And the reason I could just use single letters is because I'm not going to confuse any other angle with G and E. And that's because it's given. Remember, given just means it already came with the mark on it. I can't say that DG and DE are congruent because there's no mark on there. And then the third thing we can say is that, once again, they share the side. So DF is congruent to DF, and it's the same side on both triangles. And so now the 3 things is all I needed. So now I can say triangle DEF is congruent to triangle DGF. And let's figure out the reason. Is this side in between the 2 angles? No. So we've got angle, angle, side is the reason. Okay. Let's look at the next one. Okay, same thing. GH is congruent to HJ. GH is congruent to HJ, given. All right. KI is congruent to HI, given. And then lastly, this angle is vertical angles, so you can say that those pink ones are congruent. I can't just call it angle H though. I've got to say angle GHI is congruent to angle JHK. And that's because of vertical angles. All right, and now I look at my picture, and the angle is in between the 2 sides I know, So I can say that triangle GHI is congruent to triangle JHK, and the reason is side angle side. Because the angle is in between the two sides, I know. Excuse me. Let's look at number 4. Prove these are congruent. Okay, so this is a little tricky. I don't see any angles drawn here, but these arrows mean that they're congruent. The arrows mean that the sides are parallel. So if those are parallel, then I know this angle here and this angle here must be congruent. So that's the first thing I'm going to say, is that angle NML, is congruent to angle OLM. Okay, and the reason those are congruent is because if these are parallel lines, those are alternate interior angles. Okay, that's the reason that those are congruent. They're alternate interior angles. Okay, now let's look at, if these are parallel, then you know this one here is congruent to this one here, because those are alternate interior angles too. So let's write that down. Angle NLM is congruent to angle OML. And once again, those are alternate interior angles. Okay, now the third one, just like the other ones, LM is congruent to LM, and it's the same side on both triangles. And so that should be enough information. If I look at the picture, the angles are on both sides of the side, so I'm going to say that triangle LMN is congruent to triangle LMO, and it's because it's angle, side, angle. And once again, the angles are on both sides of the side that I know. That's why it's angle, side, angle. Okay, moving along. Here we go. So we want to prove this is congruent to this. So this is just a special case we noticed in class. This side is congruent to both. We know this angle is congruent to this one. Do you see any other marks? I don't know these are right angles. I don't know these sides are congruent. Can I prove that they're congruent only knowing those two pieces of information? There's not enough information. Because they only gave me two things. Let's look at the next one. I know this angle is congruent to this angle, and I know this angle is congruent to this angle, but I don't know anything about any of the sides, do I? So this one is not enough information. We need to know at least one congruent side. We need at least one congruent side. Okay, last question. Okay, this one we'll be able to do. Okay, so this angle here is congruent to this one because it's marked and given. This one's congruent to this one here because it's marked and given, and they share a side. It's very similar to the other ones we just did. So let's do the yellow one first. ABC is congruent to angle DCB. Okay. And what's the reason? It's given. It's already marked. Given. Because it's already marked. Okay. The blue ones. Angle BCA is congruent to angle BCA is congruent to angle BCA. CBD. Oh my gosh. CBD. Okay, these are the light blue angles. BCA, the light blue, and CBD, the light blue. And those are given because of the markings. And then the red one, BC, is congruent to BC, and that's on the same side on both triangles. And now we can finalize by saying that triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DCB, and the reason is angle, side, angle, because the red side is in between the yellow and the blue. Okay, rewatch the video, hit pause as many times as you need, and happy note-taking.